We at Old Mutual Wealth believe that our integrated wealth planning philosophy, aided by the Wealth Integrator, gives you the competitive edge when you put it at the core of what you do. That's because it's the ideal combination of personalized financial planning, behavioral coaching, and world-class technology, allowing you to demonstrate the impact of a client's decisions in real time. As a financial planner, you don't only help clients make plans for their money, you also help them design their lifestyles, and integrated wealth planning enables them to make decisions that provide them with the peace of mind that their plan is tailored to their goals and dreams. The purpose of this video is to give you, as a financial planner, a better understanding of our flagship financial planning tool, the Wealth Integrator. We provide insight into how it works and, most importantly, a clear view of how you can use it to facilitate necessary trade-off conversations with clients that demonstrate your financial planning value add, thereby enabling them to successfully bridge the gap between their current reality and ideal reality. The successful financial planner of the future is someone who takes on the role of a financial planning coach for clients and uses technology to help amplify the human component that is so crucial to forming successful, long-lasting relationships. This means spending less time telling clients what to do and more time co-creating financial plans alongside them in order to get better buy-in and build long-term sustainable relationships. That's what makes our lifestyle financial planning approach truly unique. Traditionally, financial advice, and particularly investment advice, began with a risk assessment questionnaire. Advisors would ask clients a set of questions to determine their appetite for risk. Then, based on their answers, they would recommend a blend of assets to invest in, representing their asset allocation. This selected asset allocation would determine whether or not a client could sustain their desired lifestyle. So, whatever the client selected from a risk tolerance perspective would dictate whether or not they could live the life they wanted to. At Old Mutual Wealth, our conversations are very different. That's because they always revolve around the client's desired lifestyle. We believe this should be the starting point in any wealth planning discussion. In other words, your approach to partnering with your client on their wealth creation journey should not start with what they don't want, but rather with a clear view of the lifestyle they do. Once we have identified that ideal lifestyle, we can calculate the return required in order to sustain it. We can then recommend the ideal asset allocation that would achieve this return most reliably over time, which entails a certain amount of risk. If the client is uncomfortable with the risk, we reconsider the lifestyle and other possible trade-offs. Our approach therefore considers the three important elements of risk, namely the risk the client needs to take, the risk the client is willing to take, and the risk they can afford to take. Using this approach, whether a client has 1,000 Rand to invest or 100 million Rand, financial planning can be broken down into 4 key numbers. The first number is the amount of capital or assets that a client currently has. This includes savings, investments, properties, business assets, and whatever other assets might be used to provide for their ideal lifestyle. The second number represents the client's ideal lifestyle. In other words, what do they want to do with this capital? Or perhaps more importantly, what is it that the money needs to be doing for them? The third key number is the return that the client needs to achieve on their assets. In other words, what return can they expect from their investments, properties, business assets, and so on? And the fourth number has to do with time. How long can their asset base sustain their desired lifestyle? The ultimate role of any financial planner is to help their clients to better understand the relationship between these 4 numbers and what impact they have on their overall financial plan. We can calculate any one of these 4 numbers if we have the other 3. So my client, let's call her Mrs. Y, has 4 million Rand to invest. That's number 1, total assets. And she needs an income of 20,000 Rand per month. That's number 2, the lifestyle she would like to sustain, preferably for the rest of her life. Let's assume her capital grows at 2% above inflation. This is the third number. I can now work out how long Mrs. Y's money will last, which is number 4. In this way, I fulfill my role and responsibility as a financial planner by giving my client an understanding of her options and helping her to formulate a plan to achieve the future she wants. And, arguably more importantly, help her to avoid any poor decisions that could destroy wealth or miss opportunities to make the most of any or all of her 4 financial planning numbers. So a good financial plan is one that takes into consideration all 4 of these numbers as they apply uniquely to every person, and then helps the client to look at all the variables in a level-headed, unemotional way to fully understand how each financial decision they make on their wealth journey can impact on the outcome they eventually achieve. The challenge, of course, is to translate this holistic financial planning theory into a practical, effective financial plan. And the key to doing that is to always start the integrated wealth planning process with one simple question. What is the lifestyle that you want to achieve? While it's a simple enough question, the answer may not be as easy for your clients to articulate. In fact, your clients may never have thought about it, which is where you come in. Irrespective of your client's current financial position, the first step in our integrated wealth planning journey is to engage in a conversation about their lifestyle goals, ambitions, or aspirations. This is the reason why the Wealth Integrator exists. Let's look at an example of a planning conversation you might have with a client who is approaching retirement in the next 12 years. Meet Bruce. He's a 50-year-old family man with a solid career and a fairly good history of investing money for his retirement, which in terms of his employment contract will be when he turns 62 years old. Bruce wants to ensure a comfortable and financially secure retirement. Bruce's disciplined approach resulted in a fairly decent pension fund savings of 5 million rand. He's contributing 12,000 rand per month to this retirement fund, which increases in line with inflation annually. Bruce and his wife are diligent savers and have also accumulated 800,000 rand in an old mutual unit trust. They own 2 properties. Their primary residence was recently valued at 3.5 million rand and can be assumed to increase in value by an average of 5% per year in line with inflation. However, they still have a bond of 1.5 million rand on the property, on which interest accrues at 8.5%, and they are contributing 15,000 rand per month towards this outstanding debt. Bruce inherited the family holiday home from his parents a few years back. The property is bond-free and valued at 2 million rand, growing at 5% per annum. Even though Bruce has been a diligent saver, he never really understood whether or not he was on track to retire and ultimately achieve financial independence. The good news for Bruce is that you're there to help him create clarity amidst all of the uncertainty. The Wealth Integrator can provide Bruce with an accurate framework to guide his financial and investment decisions going forward. The first step is to invite Bruce to think differently about his retirement and financial planning and encourage him to consider exactly what lifestyle he wants to achieve in retirement. It's very important to gain a deep understanding of Bruce's values, passions, dreams, and money relationships, and the roles these play in helping him live a fulfilling life. Your role is therefore not just that of a financial planner, but also a financial coach. After spending some time unpacking Bruce's goals, you realize that financial independence at retirement is an important goal for him that he would like to prioritize. Bruce estimates that he and his wife need a sustainable monthly post-retirement income of 45,000 rand after tax in today's buying power terms, increasing in line with inflation of around 5% every year. It's now possible to provide Bruce with a decision-making framework that will serve as a roadmap for the next 12 years leading up to his retirement. This framework is built on the 4 numbers we touched on earlier. Number 1 is Bruce's existing assets, which total 9.8 million rand, made up of investments of 5.8 million rand, lifestyle assets or properties worth 5.5 million rand, less liabilities in the form of an outstanding bond of 1.5 million rand. Number 2 is the lifestyle that Bruce and his wife would like to sustain, which requires an after-tax income of 45,000 Rand per month, starting at age 62 and growing yearly by inflation. Number 3 in Bruce's integrated wealth plan is the assumed return on his investments for the years until he reaches retirement. After considering Bruce's investment assets, we noted that he is very conservatively invested, which makes annual growth of inflation plus 2 to 3% the most likely scenario over the next 12 years, taking into account his limited exposure to growth assets like equities. Number 4 in Bruce's decision framework is how long he can expect his capital to support this ideal lifestyle once he reaches retirement. This calculation requires a few assumptions. These include the ongoing fees Bruce will need to pay for financial planning and administration, which will be around 0.6% and 0.3% respectively. We also assume that Bruce will resist the temptation to take any of his retirement benefit as a cash lump sum when he reaches retirement age. Finally, we presume that Bruce and his wife will opt to transfer their retirement funds over to a living annuity and draw 2.5% per year from that annuity as a starting income. Any shortfall in their desired monthly income will be made up from their liquid unit trust investment. When the unit trust investment is depleted, the drawdown rate from the living annuity will have to be increased to achieve the 45,000 Rand plus inflation monthly income after tax. After modeling all of these figures and assumptions in the Wealth Integrator, Bruce's lifestyle financial plan looks like this. This comes as a bit of a shock to Bruce. Based on their current assumptions, he and his wife will only be able to sustain their desired lifestyle until age 70. The red section in the model indicates the point in time when Bruce will no longer be able to fund their desired lifestyle. In this case, Bruce will no longer be able to achieve his desired income of 45,000 Rand in today's terms by the time he turns 70. Of course, they will still receive some income, but if they continue on their current path, this income will be less than 45,000 Rand in today's terms and will drop annually until the money runs out at age 76. In reality, we know that a living annuity can never run out or reduce to zero. However, in our model, this is the point at which the monthly shortfall, which accumulates from age 70, equals the remaining capital in the living annuity. When using the Wealth Integrator, we always focus on the point at which our clients can no longer sustain their ideal lifestyle and work to extend that point. So, while the initial projection by the Wealth Integrator may cause some panic for Bruce, the good news is that this is just the starting point of his integrated retirement planning journey. With this baseline scenario in mind, the next step is to figure out which levers Bruce can pull to change the financial path of his lifestyle plan. This is where the Wealth Integrator really shines. It enables a conversation with Bruce about the trade-offs he's willing to make or the changes he can implement to bridge the gap between his current reality and ideal future. Now we can engage with Bruce to unpack it all. Most people usually start with button number 3, which is the return on their investment. If Bruce is willing to take on a little more risk, he could invest in riskier assets and potentially benefit from a higher return on his investments over the next decade and more. To understand the impact of this, we take Bruce into the modeling section of the Wealth Integrator, where we can consider different possible trade-offs in his lifestyle plan at the click of a button in real time. If we use the navigation bar on the left and click on Exploring Options, we can model a more aggressive portfolio and return. Let's assume that Bruce repositions his portfolio, increases the equity exposure, and targets the inflation plus 5 to 7% personal investment target before retirement. That's still a fairly balanced portfolio. Some might call it moderately aggressive. Then we target a slightly more moderate portfolio of inflation plus 4 to 5% from retirement onwards. Those two simple tweaks result in a significant change to Bruce's post-retirement outcomes. Assuming these returns, this has the effect of increasing the age to which he will be able to sustain his 45,000 Rand plus inflation monthly income from 69 to 80, an additional 11 years of income. Although Bruce will prefer the scenario, it requires a clear conversation about repositioning his pre- and post-retirement portfolios with higher returns. This comes with slightly higher risk, and Bruce needs to be willing to accept this. The conversation must make him aware of the various components of this higher risk, higher reward portfolio, including a minimum investment timeframe of 7 to 10 years and a level of comfort with the higher risk. Over any 1 year, an inflation plus 5 to 7% portfolio has an 18% chance of delivering a negative return. This risk of a negative return reduces over time, so the longer Bruce stays invested, the lower the probability of a negative return. In fact, over the recommended 7 to 10 year investment term, the risk of a negative average annual return is just 0.2%. In exchange for this risk, the return potential of the inflation plus 5 to 7% portfolio is much higher. Over the recommended 7 to 10 year investment term, the return you can expect to receive is in the range of 1% to 21%. Bruce is comfortable with these scenarios and is ready to reposition his investment portfolio to access the potential for higher growth. There is one more concern though, which is that the scenario doesn't appear to have taken into account the need and cost of medical aid after retirement. Medical aid premiums typically make up a big part of any person's post-retirement expense, and these premiums usually increase at a rate that's higher than inflation, normally by 3 to 4% more. So we go back to our modeling section in the Wealth Integrator and change his post-retirement expenses to include medical aid premiums for him and his wife of 4,000 Rand per month, increasing by inflation plus 4% per year. This adjustment reduces the time that Bruce can expect to receive his desired income to age 76. That effectively removes a total of 48 monthly income payments from Bruce's revised post-retirement scenario. Bruce also highlights that we need to include his love of road trips in his lifestyle plan, and that he still wants to purchase new, reliable vehicles to enjoy this passion in retirement. So, we go to the goals section of the tool, where we can add a variety of lifestyle goals and see their impact on the client's retirement plan. In Bruce's case, we need to add the purchase of a new vehicle of around 300,000 Rand in today's value every 6 years in retirement. The impact of these regular vehicle purchases on Bruce's financial situation is shown as purple dots on the graph. This combination of vehicle purchases and monthly living and medical aid costs has an impact on Bruce's ability to sustain his desired lifestyle in retirement. Due to the additional vehicle purchases, he can no longer sustain his desired lifestyle past age 68, as he does not have sufficient liquid capital to make the second vehicle purchase. The impact of these vehicle purchases is especially obvious on Bruce's liquid assets or unit trusts. This can be shown by viewing the liquidity split in the tool. As can be seen, when Bruce buys his first vehicle at retirement, the value of his liquid assets drops sharply. Then it continues to drop quickly because he is using it to also fund the pension shortfall from his 2.5% living annuity drawdown, which isn't enough to give him the full 45,000 Rand per month after tax. However, it is possible to address this fast-draining liquid capital situation, which means that Bruce won't have the liquid capital he needs to buy his next vehicle at age 68, as illustrated by the red section on the graph. The answer to this lies in the liquidity section under modeling. Here we can model what would happen if Bruce takes a lump sum of 20% of his retirement fund benefit at retirement and reinvests this alongside his current unit trust investment. This has tax implications, which can be shown to Bruce in the Wealth Integrator in real time. It shows that after tax, this 20% withdrawal will allow Bruce to add around 2.6 million Rand to his liquid assets at retirement. The next step is to increase the drawdown amount from the living annuity from 2.5% to 6%. This means that Bruce will be able to draw far less from his liquid capital to fund his 45,000 Rand monthly income after tax. The result is that Bruce not only has the liquid capital he needs to buy 3 vehicles over the first 18 years of his retirement, but it also lengthens the amount of time that he can receive the required 45,000 Rand income, adjusted for inflation and medical aid inflation over time, to age 74. Of course, there are other trade-offs that Bruce can still consider to bridge the gap between his current reality and his ideal reality. Let's consider a budgeting conversation with Bruce to discuss whether or not he currently has any surplus money that he could use to bolster his retirement savings. Bruce has some discretionary monthly income, 5,000 Rand to be exact, that he would be open to adding to his investments to secure a more comfortable retirement. In the modeling section, it's possible to show Bruce that by saving an additional 5,000 Rand per month in a linked investment similar to his current unit trusts and increasing the contribution by inflation every year, he could extend the longevity of his lifestyle plan to age 79. That's an additional 5 years. Bruce is still concerned that his money will run out before he passes away. That opens the door for a conversation around some other trade-offs for Bruce to consider to increase the longevity of his plan to at least age 90. First, let's consider whether Bruce may be able to still apply his professional skills to consult part-time in retirement and earn some additional income. Bruce responds that there is a possibility that he may stay on with his current employer in a consultant position after retirement for a further 2 years. This effectively delays Bruce's retirement date by only 2 years, but the impact on the longevity of his lifestyle plan is significant because he will now be able to sustain his desired lifestyle until age 87, an additional 7 years. It still doesn't take him to age 90 plus. Fortunately though, there's still another possible trade-off to consider, and that is reducing his post-retirement expenditure. After going through his budget, Bruce says he thinks it would be possible to reduce his monthly income requirements after retirement by 6,000 Rand without sacrificing his desired lifestyle. The lower monthly income requirement allows Bruce and his wife to sustain their desired lifestyle right up until age 92, which is an additional 5 years added to the overall longevity of their plan. Of course, if Bruce was adamant that he could not live off anything less than 45,000 Rand after retirement, we would need to consider other trade-offs. This is how the Wealth Integrator adds significant value. It allows us to co-create financial plans with our clients while educating them and keeping them involved in every step. For example, we could get Bruce to consider his pool of assets. If Bruce is willing to sell the holiday home at retirement and invest the capital, he and his wife will be able to sustain their 45,000 Rand income until age 95. The fact that disposing of the second property and adjusting their asset split at retirement gives Bruce and his wife more longevity in their retirement income than cutting their expenses is food for thought. And it's this type of thinking and these conversations that make the Wealth Integrator so valuable. It allows you to demonstrate how important it is for your client to pay attention to adjusting their asset split from lifestyle-weighted assets, such as properties, to more investment-weighted assets, like retirement funds, annuities, and unit trusts, as they approach retirement. Having modeled all of these scenarios and all of these different trade-offs, it's now possible for Bruce to see the difference between the current reality of his retirement plan with the ideal reality, which he has been able to co-create with you, his financial planner, using the Wealth Integrator. This approach ensures that the value of the advice you offer is beyond question. Integrated wealth planning ensures that your client is having the conversations they need to have to ensure the success of their financial plan. It enables you to present your client with real, informed, and workable solutions. If you were Bruce's financial planner, you would just have helped him develop a clear action plan for the next 12 years to sustain his desired lifestyle in retirement. But more importantly, you will have laid the foundation for an ongoing planning experience through which you can partner with Bruce to continuously monitor his plan and make changes when required. These changes can be made either at review time or as things change in Bruce's life. you adopt the role of his financial coach and strategist, providing him with clear direction and peace of mind when he needs it most.